Welcome to the In the Middle podcast, a podcast where we talk about every avenue of life because life really takes place in the middle, not the beginning, not the end. How do we navigate the middle? Hey everybody, you will notice that I have nobody with me today. It's kind of not planned, but what is going to happen, I'm going to talk about the things that we are going to be talking about with guests over the next few episodes. One of the things is this: we are going to talk about a subject that I believe the church doesn't talk about enough, rarely talks about at all, or for some reason is shy to talk about it. This is the subject. We have incredible gifts given to us. We say we have these resources given to us and we are to be good stewards of the resources that are given to us. We often say that, these are the opportunities we have that are given to us. What are we doing with the opportunities? What are we doing with all kinds of different things? And then the word health came in. So the previous 3 episodes were related to mental health when I was in conversation with Lenny and just navigating all the different mental health things that are going there. But what about this one? Our health is a gift until we've not got it. There's a phrase going through a lot at the moment, and that is this: if I don't use it, I lose it. So just increasing your mind and your brain capacity, your knowledge, your information. If you don't use it, you lose it. And then increasingly more, and probably apt with the podcast being called In the Middle, I'm seeing many people my age. I'm 55, and certainly in the decades older than me, but I'm seeing it creep up on those younger. We're not utilizing this gift of health. We're not even considering that how we look after ourselves physically is a spiritual discipline. And so let me just go to some scriptures on this. Is it possible that throughout the Old Testament, when God was laying out how his people should live, there were certain dietary laws? Were they for religious purpose, or did God really know what was good for us or not? In addition to that, we've got a situation in recent years where what we consume has a huge impact on how we live our lives physically, mentally, and that overflows to relationally, emotionally, and everything is spiritual. When we think about scriptures where the Apostle Paul says, no, I beat my body and make it my slave, what he's saying is, my soul and my spirit should dictate how my body functions and feels. There was a discipline there. He talks about athletic ability to run a race as if to win. Was this just all metaphor on our soul, or was there more to it than that? When the scriptures say we are to offer ourselves, it says the word really offer our bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God, Romans 12:1. What does that look like? The scriptures in 1 Corinthians also talk about that our body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. It's not a temple that we worship, but it's a dwelling place for God. What does that mean? Are there situations in our life where through our own, and I'll say this, our own mindset on our health, we are limiting the impact of our lives? We are limiting the longevity of our lives. We are maybe cutting short the ability and opportunity to live life better. Now, it's not a subject that maybe I could get up on a Sunday and let's have a preaching series on health, but I did want us to have conversations around it. In modern times, and we'll have people interviewed here, we're going to help and talk about it. A lot of health issue as people get into midlife and older life could have been avoided if we made better decisions younger. However, we've also discovered that it is never too late to get stronger. It's scientifically proven. It's never too late to make decisions about our physical health that actually will have an overflow into our relational life, our emotional life, and in so doing, without any shadow of doubt, the condition of our soul. So, what are some of the things that I think we need to be asking questions of? And then, when we have guests on who are experienced in these fields, we're able to navigate asking the questions which you are asking. So I want you to send me in questions, but let me just identify some for me that are really, really important. Is our physical well-being a spiritual matter? Is the way in which we live out our life with energy or no energy a spiritual matter? Is it? Do you see it that way? We're called to love God with everything. Oh, does that mean we love God with everything except our physical health? Like, is it being a good steward or wise to intentionally sleep less? Or to sleep too much, to be lazy? The scriptures talk about the sluggard and the laggard and the people who are in tune lazy. Do we not want to have these conversations because it's personal? What does it mean to have no energy? What is it? Is that a stewardship question? So let me talk about this. We're going to talk about, I believe, nutrition and how that affects us. Does it matter or not? Are there certain things that actually we could feel better, we could have more energy if only we did the work of discovering nutritionally what is helpful to us and unhelpful to us? And we're not all the same. But what does it look like to create a world and a life where we can enjoy life still without it having a negative impact on us? I'm not proposing that we all start to live a life like some Olympic athlete with lots of deprivation. Not at all. Those you know me, I love food. I actually have an emotional attachment to food. So I'm by no means a person to propose to all of you, hey, do without anything enjoyable. But I think in a season which, when I'm recording this, we're in a season of prayer and fasting. Fasting is one of those spiritual disciplines that we're going to say, no, my soul, my spirit will take control of my flesh. That is key. And there's a lot in that. And we may get into some science things and the benefits of even fasting at times and how your body can heal itself, all of that. But I really want you to ask yourself, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And that is the question I want to pose today and talk about briefly. Where are you now? And where do you want to be spiritually? Where are you now? Where do you want to be mentally, emotionally, relationally? But let's look at this one first in today and with a few subjects. Physically, our physical health. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? And I'm intentionally, for those who are listening and not watching, I'm creating a starting point with my left hand at eye level, and then my right hand is an end point, which is way above my head. And so we have a start point, and we have a goal. Where do we want to be? I'm just going to say this, and I'm pretty confident in saying it. What got me here will not get me there. So what got me to where I am right now, I have to change that for me to get to somewhere that I want to be. Fact. Change is the word. If I want to be, and we'll use the physical well-being right now, if I want to be physically healthier, I am going to have to make some changes to get there. And it will not go in a straight line. It will not be, I wake up today, right, today I'm going to be healthier. Right? You can't think your way to that. You've got to have experimentation. You've got to have a plan. But I will say this, the direction and the shape of every form of change in life, in every shape, in every circle, the direction is always in the letter of a J. The J curve of change is factually, scientifically, relationally, emotionally, and physically clear. What do I mean by that? If you imagine the shape of the letter J, And so the before it curves down, that's your start point, and at the top of the letter J is your goal. Instead of drawing a straight diagonal line from the start to the top, the shape of the letter J is the way things are going to go. And the reason people do not change is because they do not want to go down first. They don't want to do the hard work of removing things from their life. They don't want to go through the hard work of changing their rituals and lifestyle. They don't want to stop some things, and they expect to get to where they want to be, but you're never going to get there unless you say, no, you stop, you change. The other thing, you may have the absolute determination to be healthier, and you're going to stick to it, and you are a really disciplined person. Let me say this: you will get there if you are consistent, but that consistency is going to be challenging, and you'll find it's going to get harder before it gets better. It will get harder. You're going to ask your body to do things it doesn't want to do, and certainly isn't used to doing. It's going to crave things that it's been used to, but coming off those is a form of detoxing. And there's a form of withdrawal symptom with that. And I understand that. And we're going to have people talking about it and what does it look like and how can we get nutritionally better without being boring. But with this whole area of health and wellness, Jesus said a phrase to a guy once. He was sick and he'd not walked. And Jesus hears his cry and he looks at him and says, do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? I think it's an insensitive question. I think it's so, wow. Like, seriously, what do you think? Well, no, I'm seriously asking that question. Like, do you want to get well? So in the following episodes, we're going to engage with some people with some practical how-tos, engage with some people who have faced struggle, engage with some people who understand what it looks like. And this is true for every age of person. And I don't want to jump the gun because I'm aware of some of the things that we're going to talk about, but I just want to just share with you something that it makes things very, 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 very publicly accountable for me. I thought about whether to say it or not, but I'm just going to say it. Some of you may know my story. When I was 42 years old, I got a bad back injury, resulted in surgery. But one of the main probable causes to making that back injury as bad as it was is, well, I was overweight. And then post that surgery, the surgeon, in his brilliance, decided that his success as a surgeon was he wouldn't see his patients again. I love that. It's almost the opposite of a repeat customer. To him, that will be a failure. And so he said, I've used my skill. I've done a successful surgery on your spine, and I don't want to ever see you again. So this is how we're going to achieve that. Number one, and he looked me in the eye. He was probably 6 feet away at most. He looked me in the eye, and he went, you're fat. And I was like, whoa, okay, you know. I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak to his female patients like that. But he said, you're fat. And I couldn't deny it. I was like, oh. And he said, so you need to lose weight. You need to take the pressure that you are unnecessarily carrying in your life off. Lighten that load. You need to lose weight. He said, and that's going to be primarily your nutrition. So I said, okay. He said, number two, what you do need to do is you need to now protect that back. So you need to build strength in your body. You need to get stronger legs and specifically a better posture, but a stronger core that will protect your back and allow it to naturally move but build strength around it. So he said you need to lose weight and you need to build strength, and the two go hand in hand. And then he said, number three, I will not see you ever again if you don't do anything dumb. Like, just think before you do anything dumb. So it was like, and that was his 3-step prescription. And I left that doctor's office, surgeon's office, and that was about 6 weeks after having the successful surgery. And I got home and shamefully, and I'll say this shamefully, um, I decided to have some humility before my wife and say, okay, this time I mean it. I need you to help me. I need you to control my food. It was a very scary statement. Um, how did it happen, the weight gain? Let me just explain to you. Our kids, and I grew up with a, hey, here's your food in front of you. If you want dessert, empty your plate. So I always grew up with a, I want dessert, I'm going to finish my meal. So finishing my plate of food was never a problem to me. I always finished my food. Then when I became a parent and we've got kids and it's my money paying for the food, and we'd be sat around the table when we were prime champions of sitting around a dinner table in the evening. So at that point, all six of us are sat around and my wife's cooked great dinner and we're all there. And if people didn't finish off their plate of food, I did. So as a result, I was having my meal, but I was probably consuming way more. But to me, I was like, yeah, but I've spent this, I've paid for this. And I have a full reflex like a Labrador retriever. In other words, I don't have one. Like I can go beyond full. Um, and I probably still can. And so with that, but it was just over the years. When I was young, I played competitive football, soccer, rugby. Like in my high school, I competed for my high school in multiple sports. And then in my later teens, I played club rugby as well. Moving forward, I would play recreational soccer quite a lot. And then I played a lot of tennis. And then in my tennis time, I was playing and competing and in tournaments in tennis. But when our firstborn was born, I realized, and I was 25, for me to keep competing at this level is not possible. Now I have a child. It was just a time decision. So I stopped playing competitive sports. My life got more sedentary. And my consuming of food increased. There's the math. Simple. I moved less, I ate more. End result, fat des. Now, it wasn't an intentional thing, but I did. And there were certain habits. And so when we got to it, moving forward, and that decision, it was the January of 2012, yeah, 2012, January of 2012, when the surgeon had kind of like, no, January 2013, he said that. I went home and I said, control my eating and then my exercise plan and what am I going to do? And I said about it. And I really was determined and went about it and started to control my eating and then increase my motion and movement and working out and did what I could. And at that point, it was all body weight movement, all body weight functional movement. There was no lifting of weights, but a lot of core work. And I did all of that. And literally from the January to the June, I don't know the exact number because I didn't get on the scale in the January. I have some photos from before that, and I knew I gained probably 20 pounds after those photos because when my back got bad, I didn't move at all. I couldn't really move. It was agony to move, and my narcotic of comfort at the time was food. So I knew I gained a ton of weight. So realistically, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to go somewhere between 50 and 70 pounds. I dropped in a space of 5 months, stroke 6 months. And it wasn't some ritualistic routine boot camp. It was, I ate wise and I moved more. And and then from that point on, then in the years that went by, I've had ups and downs and at different times and different aches and pains and injuries. But on the whole, trying to be more healthy. And this is the why. I'm not desiring to be some cover model. I'm 55. I'm not doing it for aesthetic beauty, but I am doing it for energy. I'm doing it for be a role model for people around me. I'm doing it because I do feel I have a big call on my life that will demand a lot from me, and it's my responsibility to have the energy to fulfill it. It's my responsibility to be a steward of the gift that's given me, which is my health. And it's a gift that you don't know often until it's gone. And it really is really important. And so I'll just say it as a pastor. How can I say I care for you and see you slowly killing yourself or cutting your life short? How can I say I care for you and not encourage you to have full energy to play with your grandchildren and be able to do that? How can I say I care for you and you miss out on some of the views that we can have in hiking the mountains where we are or where you are? Like, how can I say I care for you and you not enjoy a full, healthy, vibrant life with your husband or wife? To me, it overflows. So this is going through a lot. Now, yes, and we're going to have conversation with her. I do live with somebody who is a supreme role model in this, in my wife. But we'll get into conversation, and some of the things that come natural to her do not come natural to me. She is way more disciplined in the area of health and fitness than I am. I can be a disciplined person, but she works out for therapeutic reasons. I don't. I'm just telling you. Like, it doesn't. I don't go there and fully enjoy the journey. I enjoy the outcome. But just understanding all of that, and then all of the excuses that we hear, oh, I'm too old now. I've just got to accept getting old. I've got to accept that my bones aren't strong. I've got to accept that I can't lift what I used to lift in people and children. I just got to, and that's just a lie. It's an absolute lie. You don't have to accept that. So because she's not in the room, let me talk about her a little bit. If she hears this episode, she may refuse to come on the podcast now. But let me just say this. My wife is coming up on 54 years old, and she is stronger, more athletic, more agile, lifts weight often more than me, can move things around, has high energy to be able to do all of these things, has a very balanced diet, but at the same time enjoys food. She is better, stronger in every sphere of her life now than she's ever been. At 54 years old, as a mother of 4 and a grandmother of, depending on when you're hearing this, but coming up on 5, or it will be 5. And it's this excuse of, yeah, but, and then people are, I'm too busy. Well, you've just got your priorities different. It's just a priority decision to do that. So the full transparency thing is going to be this. On April 12th, so depending on when you're listening to this, I'll give it a date. On April 12th, for the 3rd time, my wife thought it would be a good idea for us to take on a challenge which is called 75 Hard. Now, in addition, why April 12th? She simply did the numbers. We have a vacation planned, and the day before that vacation, a summer vacation, which for us is huge for restoration, rejuvenation, revelation, huge, really, really big. She decided the day before our vacation will be day 75, and we backed up. We backed it up, and it would be April 12th. Now, we're already in a season of prayer and fasting here as a church. There's already some disciplines going in. So week 1 of 75 Hard is going to be one of the most significant, busy, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually challenging, exciting weeks of the year as it leads up to Easter. And so there's extra things going on. And week 1 of 75 Hard is going to be that week, just to add into it. And I joke with her and I go, really? Have you seen it? And she's like, well, maybe you could just do less and you could start the week after. And I'm like, well, for sure. Like, I'm not. But it's really, really, really helping me think. So how am I going to do that? What is that going to look like? What things do I have to do? For those who don't know 75 hard, let me just describe to you the 75 hard, the way it is and the way that me and Mel will go about it. Here's the things you have to achieve. And if you don't achieve any one of them any one day, you start at day one again. So it's a challenge. So you have to drink a minimum of 1 gallon of water per day. If you're from the valley, live in Arizona, you'll discover that isn't that difficult, really. 1 gallon of water a day is kind of like just good to survive in the desert. But 1 gallon of water per day. Secondly, you are to do 2 workouts per day of around 45 minutes per workout, and preferably, if possible, one of them outdoor. Now, our gym in our house is in the garage anyway, so if we open the door, feels outsidey, but we'll be getting out and walking and whatever it may be for that second workout. So 2 45-minute workouts per day. Will there be days, because of time, where I will need to just double and do 90 minutes in one go? Yes, there will. Am I breaking the rules? I don't care. I'm still going to put the work in. So a gallon of water, 2 workouts per day. Those workouts are all relative to your ability and your health. They're all relative. But there will be a plan, and it will be how we're going to do it and what we're going to do. And there'll be days where it's going to be different, and we'll decide to go out on a hike, and that hike might be 3 hours, 4 hours. And that's okay. But movement is really key. There are many, many medical people who know the truth of this. And I've got friends in this industry as well, and they'll say this: movement is medicine. And often we feel we've got an acre of pain and we're too sore, and we think, oh, I just need to do nothing. It's actually the opposite of what your body wants. So movement is medicine. Gallon of water, 2 workouts per day, 45 minutes each on a minimum, and if you can, preferably one of them outside. The next challenge is in the mental area, and that is you need to read a minimum of 10 pages of a non-fiction book per day. Now, for me, I do a lot of reading anyway, due to the nature of study and preparation and the things that I do. But I'm going to have separate books that are not in that field. So it's not, for me, it's not, my Bible, because that's already in. It's not a study book, a book I'm reading about that's going to help me with my preparation for Sunday messages. That's not it. I've got separate ones, and we've bought the books and we've got them in our house and they're ready. And some of them are going to be like biographies of people. I've bought a biography of Michael Phelps. I didn't know his full story. I'm going to read about it. And I'm sure he faced challenges. Another athlete I'm going to read about is Andre Agassi, because a tennis player, and he won Wimbledon the year we got married. So, things like that are connected. And amongst the other books that I'm going to be reading, but we've got them. And so 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day for the 75 days. If you want to read more, you can read more, but that's your minimum. So it's creating time and space for that as well. So gallon of water, 2 workouts a day, 10 pages of a nonfiction book. Depending on your lifestyle, you choose a diet. What we mean by choose a diet, again, what you believe is appropriate for you to be a challenge while still being very heavy. That may be, for some of you, I'm going to remove all fast food. I'm going to remove all whatever it may be, but a diet. It could be you have a goal to want to lose weight, so it needs to be a caloric deficit diet. It needs to be whatever. But it just says choose a diet and stick to it. And for me, that diet is going to be a macronutrient-based one. And for the most part, I'm going to be increasing my protein in my diet so I can hit 1 gram of protein per my goal body weight per day, while still staying within a healthy calorie window. So now, for some, that's just a bit of nutritional stuff. But that'll be a challenge. It does mean for us, it's no fast food. It's going to be for me, like no dessert, candy kind of a stuff. No sitting on the couch consuming a whole big bag of Doritos. The chips are gone. The chocolate's gone. They're just my vices. The desserts are gone for that 75 hard. Those cravings, I need to tell them where to go, and it's not in my stomach. So that's the plan. And so a diet. So I'll repeat again, a gallon of water, 2 45-minute workouts per day, if you can, one outdoors, 10 pages of a non-fiction book. Choose a diet, stick to it. 75 hard by rules is also no alcohol. I don't drink, so I check that box. That's fine. But even, a no alcohol for 75 days, and that's also in there. And so really that's really it. Some 75 hard say take a progress photo on a regular basis, whatever. But again, I'm not doing it for aesthetic gain. I'm not that interested. Am I going to get on a scale now and again? I think I will at the beginning. And we have a pod one where you hold something in your hand as well, and it actually shows you your body fat percentage and your visceral fat, which is the fat around your organs, and your bone density. It shows some other things. So for sure, day one, get on that, get a measure. And then maybe once a week, but 75 days is 2 days short of 11 weeks. So it's a long time just to have some measures. But the number on the scale is not my goal. My goal is to be healthier mentally, and it does this discipline-wise, physically, and that flows into emotionally. Yes, by doing it with my wife, there is something very connecting about that. It will force us to, of an evening, go out and walk more often than we do, but do it together. There'll be some walks where she'll say, we're doing this walk with a weighted vest on. It's not enough just to walk, but that just adds to it. But at this, in the middle, in our midlife, we refuse to say that our physical well-being is not part of our worship. It's not part of how we live. And so we want to do that. And so again, this isn't a subject I'm going to preach about, and I know it's sensitive for some people, but when the question that Jesus asked that lame man was, do you want to get well? That's the starting point. And then coming back to it and going, yeah, this whole thing of excuses, they're just excuses, and they can be removed. And so that's what we're going to do for the next few episodes. Talk, yes, to my wife, and we also want to help people in this. I'm really not the expert to help, but I can say what I do, and I can get alongside other people, but she for sure can help people what to do. And it's different for men and women as well. It is different. Our bodies are very, very different. And Mel's going to be able to speak into how different that is, and how the training side of it and your nutrition side of it can be a help or a hindrance. And so she's going to speak into a lot of you ladies who are listening, some counterintuitive things that are really, really important, and give the examples like, women, you need to stop doing so much cardio and you need to lift weight, heavy. And she'll get into the whole science and the health and benefit of all of that, because she doesn't want you older having a fall and breaking a bone unnecessarily. And they are all things that we're discovering now that are really important. So, yeah, there's different people I'm going to get on this who we know, who are in this whole world, and even how they live their life, fit and healthy, at various different ages. And I'm excited to go on this in the middle journey for the next few episodes. So there you go. If you've stuck in listening to me for the last 30 minutes on all of this, way to go. Please reach out if you've got some specific questions or what about, and there you go. And please, if a doctor's told you not to do something, then listen to that. So, yeah. But thanks, everybody. I'm looking forward to us engaging in something which I believe in life enables us to honor God, loving Him, loving one another by the way in which we love ourselves. Um, I'm grateful for the gift of my health, and it shows how valuable it is when we don't feel healthy. Great. All right, everybody. Should be fun and be with you as the weeks continue in the middle, being the healthiest we believe we can be and should be as a follower of Jesus. See you soon.